Hey y'all, my name is Aja and welcome back to my channel. So today I want to discuss a conversation that I had yesterday just in passing with a woman I met at church. Alright, so if you know me, you know that I am not a go to church every Sunday type of person. You know, our family, we try to go like as often as we can, and we try to make sure, that we are teaching the kids, the things that they that they need to know about God and Jesus and the whole everybody, right? Everybody in the Bible, right? But the thing is that we don't make it a requirement. There's some days where, we just need to use Sunday to kind of just, like get ready for the week and things of that nature. And then we just don't have time for it, and that's okay. But we still, making sure that we're teaching those values and things. And I think that that's what's more important. But just to give you a little bit of history about my background as far as religion is concerned, is I grew up a Baptist. My grandmother was a Baptist, my grandfather, and my grandfather, he's the first person that, I ever saw like getting up going to church every week. And that was a good routine that they had, him and his wife, and that worked for them. They were really into the Bible, and, they made sure that we knew a lot about it. But I lived with my grandmother, and so she was in a wheelchair, so she wasn't able to take us to church, but she did, make us open that Bible and make us, memorize some scriptures and get an understanding of how the Bible works and, the different stories and how it relates to life. Okay, so fast forward, when I was about 12 years old, I then moved with my grandmother, and she is Seventh-day Adventist. So I'm not going to go into all the details, but the difference is that they worship on Saturdays instead of Sundays. So that was very, very different for me. It was a different lifestyle, something that I had to get accustomed to. Okay, so because I had such a diverse childhood when it comes to religion and everything, I never wanted to just like force religion on my kids. I wanted them to make their own decisions and for them to see, how God works in their lives, and there's been a couple of instances where my son would tell me like that wasn't nobody but God, and I just laugh at him because he just, it's just, that's the truth. So anyways, so this conversation that I had with this woman at church yesterday, so she says to me, did I have a good Easter and stuff like that? And I was like, yeah, we didn't go to church. We just stayed home, and we had a photo shoot, and we, did an Easter egg hunt, and the kids, dyed eggs and, made baskets and just all of the things, right? And she was like, yeah, we went to church, but we didn't do all of that because all of that is kind of like of the world. And I was like, of the world. And, me just, trying to get a better understanding. I was like, well, what do you mean by that? And she was like, well, like society has made us believe that, you have to do all of that to celebrate, the resurrection, which, is Easter. What we all know is Easter. And I go on to explain, well, I guess for us and for our family, that didn't really have it's no connection to me. This is just, my thoughts. And this is why I'm making this video, because I want to know your thoughts on it. So, when we, make Easter baskets and things for the kids, it's not because we believe, Jesus made Easter baskets. It's not, it has nothing to do with that. This is just family traditions. It's, it's nothing more. Just like we celebrate Christmas, but we don't necessarily believe that it's a Santa Claus, right? So we understand that there's a difference. And then she goes on and, start talking about the different religions. the different holidays throughout the year, and, how we should be teaching our children, like, I guess the real stories behind it. And I was like, yes, I actually do. We always do that. As soon as anything comes up, I say, okay, this is the hard truth about this. So the kids have vast knowledge about, you know, the different holidays, and sometimes the holidays are extremely dark, but I'm okay with them knowing that because it's the truth, right? So we just, you know, we just talking, and I just feel judged. That's how I feel in this conversation right now. I feel like because I mentioned to her that we had the Easter egg hunt and, you know, did the dyeing of eggs and things, that she just kind of had her nose turned up. And this is the thing about religion that kind of bothers me. And this is why I don't really like to kind of talk about it and stuff like that, because I don't like to feel judged. And sometimes it feels that way, you know, and I don't even know if it's like an intentional thing. But the thing is that we want to teach our children, like, to be good people, to be good Samaritans, to, you know, be good friends and good siblings and love each other and that kind of thing. And if it takes the understanding of a holiday and the history of it, the good history of it, to, you know, bring home those lessons for my family, then that's what we're gonna do. Okay, so that's kind of what I basically said to her, and she just kind of like that she showed me. She looked up a book, and she's like, you know, you should look into this book, and, you know, you and your husband should, you know, start to you know, really read it and really understand it. And I was just kind of like, oh, you know, like, what made her think that I don't have an understanding, you know? So it was a very interesting conversation, you know, but the bottom line is that I don't know what's right and what's wrong, you know, as far as celebrations are concerned. Like, when it's my birthday, please tell me happy birthday. You know, when it's you know, Christmas, I will not get offended about Merry Christmas and things of that nature, you know, because I don't associate the two. You know, it's just like Merry Christmas to me means, like, you know, have a happy time with your family, you know. And that's all I get out of it. It's nothing more, nothing less. So I don't know. When it comes to, you know, making sure that our kids, you know the truth, that's important. But, like, you also don't want to take away a kid's, like, innocence, so to speak. Like, early in life, my kids believed in the tooth fairy. We know the tooth fairy is not real, but I had the tooth fairy in my phone under the tooth fairy sheet. Had a picture and everything, and I would call as soon as that tooth fell out, and, you know, I would make sure they got a little dollar or whatever underneath their pillow, and that just, they looked forward to that, and I would never want to take that away from them, you know. But even though I understand, you know, that, you know, it's not a real thing or whatever, but I don't know. Like, nobody took that away from me when I was a kid. You know, I believe I used to get like 25 cents underneath the pillow, you know, when I lost a tooth. And I just love my grandmother for that. You know, that made me feel so good to wake up, my tooth be gone, and a quarter is under there, and I just go right to that corner store, get me some candy or something, and then all the rest of my teeth fell out. Yeah, I don't know. When I hate to talk about this kind of stuff, but I really, really, really want to know how you guys feel, because, like, you know, parenting is hard in itself without all of the extra stuff that goes on with it, you know. But what do you teach your children when it comes to religion? Like, how do you introduce religion to your children and making sure that, you know, when you grow up, that they have something to believe in, that they have a foundation, you know, to know that somebody, God, is looking out for them, you know. And it just makes me feel good to know that if I died today, like, seriously, and I want to knock on some wood, because Lord knows I don't want that to happen, but if I die today, I feel like my kids will be okay because of my faith. I'm not, like, all crazy with it or anything like that, you know, but I do take some time and thank God for the things that he's done in my life, you know. I know that he's moving. I know that he's working because I have came out of some dark places and I didn't do it by myself. So it was a strength that he gave me, you know, and I had to pray over that, and I pray over my kids, and I just hope that, you know, they understand that even if when they grow up and they believe like, oh, these are pagan holidays, why do we celebrate it? I hope that they believe and they understand that the reason that we celebrate it is for family, so that we can have family experiences and memories together. And that's all that it is. You know, I really hate that I ran across this lady. Well, actually, I'm kind of happy, so I have this to talk about, but I'm kind of sad because, you know, there's people in the world that, you know, make you feel like, I don't know, like you can't even be open and honest about a conversation because they're gonna, you know, like basically like tell you that you're wrong, you know, with that. And I'm going to leave this conversation right here because I do want to hear from you guys down in the comments. Let me know, like, what are you guys doing to teach your kids about religion and about God, about Jesus, the Holy Spirit, all of the above? Like, let me know, because I feel like spirituality and religion and all that is super important when you are raising a family, because we go through it. Like, everybody goes through it, you know, but you need to have some faith in something, because if you don't, you'll fall for anything, and that's the God honest truth. All right, you guys, so I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.